Ed and Lorraine Warren, the most popular names in the world of paranormal investigation. Together, they have solved many haunting cases and performed several exorcisms. But there was one case in their lives that even shook them to the core, their last case, the Smurls family case. This story begins in 1973, in Pennsylvania, USA. Jack and Janet Smurl moved with their two daughters into an old duplex house. Their previous home had been destroyed by a hurricane flood. Now they had come to a new place, with new dreams and the hope of a better life. At first, everything was fine. Within a few months, Jack got promoted at work, and he thought he would now invest money to renovate the house properly. But as soon as the repair and renovation work began, strange and bizarre things started happening inside the house. Gradually, household items began to move from their places. Often, tools and equipment used in repairs would disappear and then, on their own, return to the exact spot they had vanished from. In one of the rooms, there were strange black marks on the walls. Jack had those walls painted over 3 or 4 times. But within just a few days, those black marks came back again. Jack even painted them himself several times, but after 3 or 4 days, those dark stains would always return. Meanwhile, the house lights would flicker on and off by themselves. One evening, Jack was watching TV when suddenly the television caught fire, as if someone had thrown a bomb at it. Jack called several electricians to check the house wiring, but no fault was ever found. One night, the radio in their house suddenly started playing at full volume. Jack woke up angrily, thinking maybe his daughters were fooling around. But when he went to the drawing room, he saw the radio was playing on its own because its cord wasn't even plugged in. This started happening many times. The TV and radio would turn on at full volume even when they were unplugged. Drawers and cabinets would open by themselves. The house temperature would suddenly drop, and even in the hot summer months, the house would become freezing cold. When the bathroom in Jack and Janet's bedroom was renovated, something very strange happened. The next morning, when Janet entered the bathroom, she found scratches all over as if some animal had been trapped inside all night. After this incident, Jack and Janet started feeling uneasy about the house. Once, Janet was in her room and felt as if her mother-in-law was calling her from the next room. When she went there, her mother-in-law said she hadn't called her at all. Since then, family members often felt as though someone was calling their names, but no one was ever there. One night, Jack and Janet heard terrifying screams coming from their daughter's room. They rushed there and found their daughter drenched in sweat, staring at a corner of the room in horror. She kept saying that there was someone there, someone terrifying, floating in the air. But Jack and Janet saw nothing. When they turned on the lights, even their daughter couldn't see anything and slowly calmed down. The next evening, while Janet was working in the kitchen, she suddenly felt a cold breeze. It was February. She thought maybe the kitchen window had been left open. So she turned to close it, but the window was already shut. When Janet turned back around, her hair stood on end. In the corner of the kitchen, there was a dark shadow floating in the air. A shadow with no face, yet it somehow felt like it was looking right at her. Janet thought maybe she was hallucinating. Her hands and feet went numb with fear. That dark shadow slowly came closer to her, and then passed right beside her, disappearing straight through the wall. That same day, Janet's mother-in-law also told her that she had seen the same dark shadow. Gradually, seeing that shadow became a normal thing for everyone in the house. Jack and Janet's doubt was now turning into belief. They began to understand that a spirit was living in their house. But since it wasn't harming anyone, they tried to live with it. Sometime later, Janet and Jack had twin daughters, and from then on, everything changed. One day, Jack was sitting in the living room with his daughters when he suddenly heard a strange noise coming from the ceiling, as if something was being torn out. When Janet looked up, her breath stopped. She quickly pulled her little daughter toward her, and the next moment, a huge chandelier came crashing down from the ceiling. If anyone had been underneath it, survival would have been almost impossible. After this incident, Jack went to the church and shared everything with a priest. The priest came to their house and performed a blessing ritual, something like a prayer ceremony. For a while, all the activity stopped. But after some time, everything started again, and this time, it became much worse. Sometimes a kitchen appliance would catch fire, sometimes the light bulbs would burst on their own. Family members often got injured by random objects. The worst moment came right after another priest performed a blessing ritual, when the Smurl family's dog suddenly began to act wildly, barking frantically. And then, in front of everyone's eyes, the dog lifted into the air and was thrown straight against the back wall. The dog was badly hurt, but what happened that day shook the entire Smurl family to their core. Jack and Janet now understood that the spirit in their home was after their lives. Many priests came and performed blessings, but nothing worked. Jack asked for an exorcism, but since he had no concrete proof, the church refused permission. By then, Jack had already invested a lot of money into the house, and no one was willing to buy it. So, even if they wanted to, Jack and Janet couldn't leave the house. Years passed, but their problems never stopped. Then someone told them about Ed and Lorraine Warren. Will Ed and Lorraine Warren be able to save the Smurl family, or will something even more terrifying happen? To find out, watch The Conjuring, The Smurl Family Case Part 2 next week.